Hello, and welcome to another episode of What's That?
Sister Chat.
Hey, sisters, how y'all doing today?
Good, good.
Oh, good,
It's been a
good.
minute since we've been on, and we have a juicy topic today. So, I think it was in 2015, there was a woman who portrayed herself as being Black. Her name is Rachel Dolezal. Dolezal? I don't know how to pronounce her last name, y'all, but
Dolezal,
she
I believe.
Dolezal.
That
Okay,
was all.
Rachel Dolezal, and she was the president of the NAACP out in Spokane, Washington D.C. And she pretty much passed as being Black for 5 years. So, sisters, as you all know, there is a Netflix documentary called The Rachel Divide that I had us all watch so that we can discuss today. So, I can say this is very interesting documentary. So if you haven't checked it out, go ahead and go to Netflix, check it out, and join the conversation. But, sisters, are you ready to get in? Ready to go?
Nothing to
Let's
it but to
go.
do it.
All right. So, before we get started, when you first heard about Rachel's story, what were your thoughts? Like, what were your thoughts about her passing as Black? Were y'all offended? Were you like, oh my gosh, this woman? Like, how'd you feel? Anybody? Go ahead, jump right on in. Okay, Cece, go ahead.
Somehow
Well,
I always get picked when y'all just throw it
It
out
was
there.
your face. It was your face. You were showing, you're like, yeah, I'm ready.
I'm just, hey, honestly, 2015 feels like a million lifetimes ago. So it's sometimes hard for me to remember way back when some of the things that were sort of going on. But I remember sort of my initial gut impression being like, why would a white person choose to be Black in this day and age? I mean, like 2050, people sort of think about the world and some of the things that are going on with race relations as like a very current event, but people were rioting in the streets during the Obama administration too. So it just felt really weird to me. Like, this story doesn't make sense. Like, why would this happen? But I'm going to be honest, I didn't look at any of it. So I'm glad you sent me the documentary because I literally didn't know anything about her and about her story and about why she was doing the things that she was doing. And now I feel like I could speak about it from a more enlightened space than certainly before when I just saw the headline and was like, what?
mm,
Sorry,
yeah.
guys.
I mean, when I first heard about it, I was like, um, okay, why? Like, why you feel the need to do that? Like, sis or miss? I don't know. But I was just like, lady, why? Like, you don't. I wanted to know what brought her to do this, right? But I
Mhm.
at the time, I think I was in London when I heard about it, and so like it wasn't like a huge deal as much I think as it was in the U.S. Over there, people were just like, "Oh, it's another American. That's crazy," you know. So
Right.
I mean, so like I was just kind of like in my own world. I guess I wasn't like, but I had heard about her, and I was like, kind of like, okay, all right, interesting. And also I thought like, you know, what's the point of that? Like, if you're gonna, okay, we're gonna get into it, but go ahead. That's what I just, my initial thought was just like, why?
Yeah, that was my initial thought too. I was like, why would you want to be Black? I mean, you got all the privilege. Like, what's really going on? And why would you want to be over the NAACP? Like, what's your angle? What are you trying to do? Are you trying to just be undercover? Like, what exactly are you trying to do? That was my question. That's my thought at first. I was like, what is she really trying to do? So apparently, while she was head of the NAACP of Spokane, Washington, there were some hate mail that they were getting, and a lot of what she said was hate mail towards herself. But some of the other members of the group said that there were other Black people who were over the NAACP, and they didn't have nearly as much hate mail as she did. So what was different about her? And so it did. What they said in the documentary was that, you know, they said that she was a liar. Like, a lot of people thought she was lying about it. They had like a journalist that said that he was doing some research and she was lying about it. What do you guys think? Do you
I
think she
have
just
thoughts.
added to the drama?
I have thoughts, right? Because after watching this documentary, wow, it really surprised me the things that were said and whatever. So one, I don't my impression of the journalist was that he doesn't have a whole ton of integrity, and that's just based on a few snippets from the thing, because that whole thing blew my mind with this journalist, right? So this guy essentially says, well, we didn't really have race issues here, which is BS, right? Like, nobody believes that. And as I already said earlier, race relations in the US were doing some things in 2015. It wasn't like the times were somehow cool and calm and there were no ripples and there was no oppression and there was no things happening. So that part really got me. But what I thought was really interesting is, rather than outing her as a person who maybe faked the letters, she chose to out her as somebody who was not actually Black. And he got this information from people who were looking to discredit her because she was coming forward as someone who had been molested by her brother. So I have like no sense that this journalist had any integrity, because while yes, that is, you know, something that created shock and awe, it certainly did, right? Like, she blew up in the American media rather largely as a result. I mean, the story, which would have been more profound to me, would have been getting to the truth of, are we having an issue in Spokane around people sending hate letters to people of color, right? Whether she identified as that way or not, that is a true issue. And that's where you should have been investigating, rather than working with the private investigator who you won't name as a source, but outing this woman who has, you know, for something that deflected from the true problem that y'all have in your community.
I mean, I hear that and I totally get you on that. But also, like, if that is the problem, because see, the thing is, you can get hate mail, any color, any race, anybody. If somebody hates you, they hate you. And they gonna send that hate mail. Okay.
But it was
So,
to the NAACP
like,
chapter. So go ahead. Sorry.
But no, but it said attention to Rachel Dolezal.
Right, the president of the NAACP chapter.
No, it said her name on there.
Right, but what I'm saying
name,
is she
like
was the president. I'm just saying that was her role, right? That's all I'm saying. Go ahead. Uh-oh.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah. No, I understand that she was the president of the chapter, but I'm just also saying that if she was getting hate mail, she was getting like, I mean, get hate mail. And so that to kind of see like what is this mail about? Like, are they talking specifically about her race? Are they like what it like, and you know, like, oh, you guys y'all can hear me, but you can't see me?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, so let me just finish this thought and then I'll, like, I don't know, restart or something. Basically, I'm just saying, like, I think that the journalists, while they probably were very slimy and sleazy, and also probably definitely got the tip from the family, you know, about like, well, ask her about her race, or like, you know, like, they needed to find their angles, because that's what journalists do. They always find their angles. I think that it also was an important kind of thing to bring up as well, like, because if we can't trust you about like what you're saying about your race, then also we potentially can't trust you about other things. You know what I mean? So that's all.
I get what you're saying. Ooh, I don't know, y'all. It was just too much. It was just too much for me. That, okay, let me ask this question because I just, it was so much information. And a part of me wanted to feel bad for her, but a part of me was like, no, you know what you're doing. Like, it was just too much. So with that being said, um, my questions, hold on, I lost my questions. Sorry, guys. Okay, so do you think because she was over the NAACP and she did do like marches and protests and she was really for the community, she was really out there working. I mean, even though she masqueraded as being something other than um, she was essentially still helping the community. But do you think that she helped the Black community or hindered the Black community? What do you think? Because in her defense, she has two Black sons. I mean, one's adopted and one is biological, three Black sons now. So, I mean.
Okay. Well, I think that while she was in her position, she was helping the community. Not even community. She was helping her organization and helping, and doing the things that her organization stood for. However, I just feel like she actually probably could have done more for the community if she would have told the truth. Even if she would have told the truth from the beginning and just said like, listen, I identified like this, or and maybe she didn't know how to verbalize it. Maybe she didn't know how to verbalize it until she was forced to verbalize it. You understand what I'm saying? But I think she was definitely helping. Like literally to me, if she didn't lie and continue lying throughout the whole time, like the problem was like once you got found out, you kept lying. You know what I mean? And then it's like she knew she was lying. At that point, I don't think she had realized, or maybe she didn't, like I say, know how to verbalize that, oh, this is how I identify. Because I think that's different than saying just like, no, I'm Black. No, like, no, but this is my dad and he's Black. You know what I mean? Like, because you know what you're saying, and for me, and I think at that point, that's when it started to hurt the community and the people, everybody she was trying to help kind of got hurt by it, because it's like, hold on now, why should we even care about these people anymore when all of them are liars? Now you're kind of making it like, oh, well, Black women lie, even though you're not even Black. So
that's where the trust comes in.
Yeah, so I felt like that was a little bit like, hey, I do think she was playing her role when she was in that role.
Right.
I do. Mm-hmm. It appears. I mean, I didn't read all her reports.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, CC?
I think that she did a lot for the Black community. Absolutely, 100%. I think that she did. I have a lot of compassion for her. Watching and sort of hearing her story, like, was really fascinating to me. I have a ton of compassion for her, and I do think that she did a lot for the community. And I think it's interesting, the distinction about, well, this idea that, well, she makes it look like Black people lie. Well, they were already treating her like a Black woman who was lying, right? Which is the whole reason that they were running this news story, because there's no way that this person could have possibly been getting this much hate. That's how Black women are often treated, right? So, like, to me, as I saw that part of the documentary, I'm going, it seems to me like you're treating her like a Black woman here anyway, So I don't know, that part's a little weird, a little fuzzy for me, but I definitely think that she did quite a bit for her community, and I respect it.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I do believe that she did help her community, even though, the situation that she was in, she did really, really passionately feel the way she did and really work towards helping that community. So let's dive into a little bit into her backstory. So in the documentary, Rachel says that her parents adopted Black children. So, well, before that, she was born. Her mom told her that she almost killed her when she was a baby. because her mom almost bled out. She almost hemorrhaged. And so she felt like she was cursed when, sorry guys, she felt like she was cursed when her brother, she felt was blessed. Like he was able to get whatever he wanted. Like she felt like she was the black sheep of the family. And then her parents goes and adopts all these black children. Now her parents are very, very religious and they're very, very strict. So I don't remember if she said that she was abused. Oh no, she did. She said her dad was physically and emotionally abusing to them. And so later on, we find out that her adopted sister was allegedly molested by her biological brother, Rachel's biological brother. And the reason why we all found out that she was really black was because her parents pretty much outed her. They, she was going to testify against her brother, and so her parents outed her to discredit her and her integrity. So her story to me seems like let me also say that her brothers and sisters, her adopted brothers and sisters, that her parents didn't grow them up or raise them to be black or to embrace their culture. They were raised to be, what she said, white. So Rachel decided she wanted to help them to learn more about their culture. And in part, she just embraced the black culture and she started to identify with being black. Do you think that because of her upbringing and the fact that she wanted to, I don't know, in a way, remove herself from that reality may be a reason why she decided to change and identify as something she wasn't? I mean, I know we're not psychologists or psychiatrists, so we really can't diagnose her, but what are your thoughts on that situation with her family?
Cece could. Cece could diagnose.
I'm not going to. I'm only working out of my personal beliefs. I'm not picking up the social work thing here. I think it's a really interesting, her backstory is really fascinating to me. And it brought up so many questions to me. What does it mean to be black, right? Because here you have a young adolescent who's basically trying to help teach her siblings what it means to be black so that they can embrace that. And knowing what she knew from her research, right, she made a decision that was something that she felt was her identity, which I think is really interesting because I don't have a moment in my life when I made a conscious choice that like, I'm going to do the black thing. You know what I mean? And so that part is really interesting to me because here she is and she kind of knows the baggage. Like there's this part at the end of the documentary where she's basically getting hammered with questions about, well, you haven't been initiated, you haven't been discriminated in this, and the other. And I'm like, but is that what it means to have a black identity, to have experienced all of this trauma and hatred and discrimination? And is that what blackness is? You know, so it's kind of this very interesting thing for me because what does it mean to be black? There's not a gene that makes you black, right? There isn't anything physical that makes us black. And the more I sort of travel and see the world, the more people who look like me who don't identify in that way, right? It's like it's a social construct. So for me, for her to put her black hat on as a choice, I think it's just fascinating. So I absolutely do believe that it is related to her upbringing and those the situations that she went through and having black siblings and trying to help them get some of that culture and then having black children. I think all of that kind of helped her evolve her identity. I think a lot of the times we take on identities, especially in that, 0 to 7 age when we're basically sponges and just accepting the things that are thrown at us, right? We have these identities that are thrown on us that we don't raise our hand and say, yes, I want that. But she raised her hand and said, yes, I want that. So I don't know. It's fascinating to me.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh, Sharice.
Yeah, I mean, it is very fast. It is very fascinating. It is very fascinating. It's interesting that, like you say, that she chose to be black because yes, the blackness is a social construct. It didn't exist before it was created. It was
Mm-hmm.
created by
Mm-hmm.
man, right? Like, and particularly like within it was a this is all a political fight, right? Being black is political. If you look in the U.S. Constitution, it tells you that to be black is to be a minor. So I don't know why she would actually choose to be black according to like, if she's choosing it. I don't even know if she's choosing it by law. She did put it on her paperwork when the baby was born. So, you know, you can choose that. You as a black person can actually put on your government paperwork that you're white. Because actually to be white, according to the law of the US, and I don't know how it is in Colombia or in other places, but in the US, according to law, to be white, just
No, I want to know.
I'm coming back. I'm coming back.
Like great suspense right there. To be black is dun dun dun.
No, but it says to be white, it's to be of
White.
African descent. Of
Mhm.
African descent, actually. That's what the law of the constitutional law says, actually. And it's something that a lot of people don't know. So and that's why like a lot of times, we wonder why like our justice system is the way it is and all this is because when you're counting yourself, remember, to be black was to be 3/5 of a man at one point. You know what I mean? Like literally, it's all political at the end of the day when you talk about race, when you talk about like we're not talking about ethnicity. We're not asking her
Mhm.
like where are your people from? What's your lineage? Like we're not asking those questions. Well, not us, but I mean like the world. The media wasn't asking those questions. Now, anyways, the question you asked though about her childhood, like I think that, oh my God, like somebody, a therapist, please give her some pro bono work. Like, please. I don't know. Cause she suffered a lot of trauma and all of her siblings,
Mhm.
and her children actually too.
Mhm.
And I was like the whole time watching it going like, well, how does that person identify? How does that, because her younger brother Ezra, I'm like, how is he identifying? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
I
a
wondered the
little bit,
same thing.
you know what I mean? And like how does it work if it's the other way around? If it's like a black person that is, not doesn't identify as a black person. There's lots of black people that don't identify as black, you know? Even when I was younger, like I would be like, even now, like I did not put black on my US Census forms. I put indigenous person, okay? Like, come on.
So
Because
then what's the problem with Rachel saying she's black?
that I didn't say that there was a problem. I just said it was a problem that she lied.
Mhm.
I think there's a problem that I think it's the problem that she tried to. I think the lady one of the ladies said no, it wasn't a lady, it was a guy. I don't know who it was. Somebody in the show said in the documentary said about it was almost like she was putting on a show, like she was doing theater. You know what I
Right.
mean? And for me, that's where it's like, okay, like if that's how you identify, then cool. Like there's lots of people who identify as different things all over the place, like literally so many. There's in the thing they talked about trans this, trans that, like all these different things, transracial, transgender, all these different things. So I mean, identity is something that's personal to you, right? Like when I was younger and being in Texas, oh, you couldn't call me no American because I was Trini, because I'm in Texas. Everybody else is American. I don't want to be that. Let me be Trini because I'm a Trini, like that's just, so that's how I identify. And I think like people literally like your identity changes as you grow, as you learn, as you experience different things. Like, and she was 37, 35, 37, something like that. She was, an adult, but still developing. And especially with her childhood. I mean, to me, her parents did not adopt them kids. They bought those kids in order to treat them like slaves. I'm sorry. And I just have to say that. That's how I feel. That's when I watch it. I'm like, oh my God, they were like little black slaves to this family. and it hurt me. So like, you know.
And it hurt her. She did say that it hurt seeing her adoptive siblings being treated that way. It hurt her a lot. Um, and to your point about her lying, I think that's where it comes into play. If she would have just said, hey, I want to help people of color. I want to, or like when she was found out, when they said, no, you're white, and she just kept the lie going. That's where the issue came in, where she just continued to go with the lie instead of just saying, you know, okay, yes, I lied, but this is what I'm doing. This is how I'm helping the community. This is how I'm helping people. No, you don't think so?
It's different for me. It's different for me. So, you know, I feel like Sheree said, our identity is like a deeply personal thing, and we're sort of always evolving and figuring out who and what we are. And I don't know of any people like Rachel in the public before this sort of story who had a term. I mean, I hadn't heard transracial until this came out, and I've studied sociology and all kinds of things. Right. It's exactly. And so I don't know that she was lying as much as she was trying to express her identity in the words that she had. Right. And so, you know, there are people in my life who are not a part of my life, and they're no longer a part of my family, and they're no longer a part of my blueprint. And as far as I'm concerned, you know, they don't exist in my life. And that's not a lie for me to say, nope, not related to that person, don't know them. Right. Like there are parts of my Black identity that I'm having to shed. Like I'm doing all of this personal development and realizing that there were all these stories and these beliefs that I let sink in that have been holding me back because I thought that that's what it meant to be Black, right? I thought that that's the kind of experience you have to be Black, right? So there's all of these nuances to her story for me where it's like, I don't feel like she was lying. I feel like she was doing the best she could with the information that she had about who she felt she was. Like I say, you get to be Black if that's what you want to identify as. I don't identify myself as Black in the way that I used to. I don't. It's all bullshit. It's all make believe. It's all political constructs that they put on us to be divisive, right? And so for me, if that's the way you choose to live your life, I say go out there and do it. And just like I don't have to reveal to somebody, you know, my deepest, darkest, whatever, she doesn't owe it to anybody to say, this is what I used to be like, but this is who I am now. Now, it became public because they outed her because she was coming forward about a molestation case, which is why that's how I started this conversation with you guys, because to me, it was very evident why she was outed. But I think that if she was outed as something else, right? Like if she was outed as being transgendered, or she was outed as being gay, or she was outed as being something else, people would have treated her with more kindness and more consideration. At least some segments of the population would have. But because she was outed as something that people didn't understand. When people don't understand things, like they vilify it. That's literally shown repeatedly in history. So for me, you know, I watch her and I'm like, I don't feel like that it makes her a liar. I feel like she was doing the best that she could, trying to figure out who she is on this soul journey. Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm a soul living a human experience. Blackness is just something that I have experienced while I've been here. It's not my identity. And I'm glad I've been able to shed that.
But I think the problem with her was that she kept acting like she had the same struggles as Black Americans do. Like I believe in one of the commentators was saying that how every time they had an issue, she'd be like, well, my Black, so like it wasn't her experience, it was somebody else's experience that she was trying to make her experience as being Black. And I think that's where the issue came in, as far as you say you're Black, but you're not really experiencing, or you didn't experience what we as Black Americans experience on a daily basis. And why would you lie about the struggles or the experiences that you supposedly have when you are not truly experiencing it? I think that's what
I would have liked to have heard from some of those people. I mean, obviously it's not possible, but what they thought of her before she was outed, right? Because there was so much vilification of her, and all these people coming forward, and they honestly they all have sort of a jaded perspective now, right? Because they all feel wronged by her because she's not, quote, who they say she was. But in my opinion, and this is only my opinion, I certainly haven't lived in her shoes, but I think that she did experience what it is to be what it is to have racial discrimination. I also don't think that racial discrimination is a crux of an identity. I mean, I think that that's part of stuff that Black people have to shed anyways, is like, you don't know what it is to be Black because I've been discriminated against. Like, that's not what it is to be Black. That was an experience that you had. But either way.
But I disagree with that. I'm sorry, CC. I'm sorry.
I knew you would. I knew you would. It's fine. Go ahead.
I just gotta disagree a little bit with that, because like I said earlier, like, to be Black is to be is a political thing, right? And that is like, to identify as Black is to identify with the traumas of this, because it didn't exist before. Like, it really is. No, how can you? But I don't understand how you can say no, not to that. Like, it's like, literally, if you're going, like, if the rest of the world is not dealing with that. And I think about, and with what Shelly just said about Rachel, like, not having her own experiences of that specific type of discrimination. Like, I will never forget the time when we went to the corner store that we always used to go to. We were like children, kids, and we had the money in our pockets to buy the ice cream that we were going to get. And the man literally charged, "Oh, you're stealing the ice cream. You're stealing. I'm gonna call the cops." And Daddy had to come, and there was this whole big to-do, because why did that happen to 4 little Black girls? Would that happen to 4 little white girls? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there is something in that. And I'm not saying like that means that, oh, if that happens to you, that means you must be Black. But I'm saying it is an experience that does,
many
like,
Black
it's
people.
a shared experience across very many Black, like, so many lives. So I don't think we can discount it. I'm not saying we got to hold on to it. Yes, you can shed it. You can say, okay, well, I'm moving forward and into something new, but we can't pretend like it don't.
You have to acknowledge it.
Well, I this is my opinion, and y'all are definitely not going to like this, but I don't think Black people want to shed it. I said it. I don't think Black people want to shed it because it's a part of your identity, and it's hard.
But it's hard for us. It's hard for us to shed it when it's being done constantly every single day, and it's thrown in your face every single day. You can't shed something that's always being thrown at you all day long.
I'm not denying that it happens. I mean, I've very publicly acknowledged the fact that part of the reason Jason and I left the United States was because of some of the things that were going on in terms of race relations, right? I'm not denying that those things happen. What I'm saying is it's your identity, right? And this is what I saw in this documentary, that all of the Black people in there who were saying, you don't get to be Black because you haven't struggled. Blackness in this sense was equated with struggle. But what if Blackness meant something else? What if Blackness could, okay, go ahead.
Word, no, I agree with you. But I think it also, we can't also forget the fact of the organization that she was working for, that she was the president of, the NAACP, which is an organization, a social justice organization, literally talking about the thing for people of color, literally talking about the things, the pains, the traumas, the discrimination that people of color go through. And so I think that was also part of it. It's not like she was like, "Oh, I'm the ice cream truck lady and I'm Black and I'm not actually Black." It's like, I'm the NAACP person talking about the struggles of Black women and also portraying myself as a Black woman. And even saying, like, even I heard her son in a part of it say something like, well, they're doing this and they're doing that and they're having these problems. And even though he was talking about Black people, and I wondered for a second, like, well, I wonder how he identifies as well. Like, because he was talking about the collective. He wasn't saying like those people over there, you know what I mean? And most people would say, well, we, and like what we're dealing with, you know what I mean? So I don't know. It definitely is an identity thing. Like, what it comes down to is like, how do you identify? I have roommates, like, that are from Africa. Like I have a South African roommate and a roommate that's from Zambia. And they told me that when they got to America, they became Black. They were never Black before that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so that's a real thing that happened. It's like it's a real so are they wrong? Are they transracial? Because their skin is Black. Well, their skin is brown. They got that good melanin, but they didn't identify themselves as Black until, you know, and I hope, you know, he don't watch this and feel upset that I'm telling this story, but he was, you know, in a southern state during this whole COVID thing. And he said that he was, you know, he was not discriminated against, but like threatened because of his race. Like, because he was walking down, literally just walking down the street. And, you know, he was threatened like with guns, you know what I mean? By people who are not, you know, by white people. And he realized like, oh snap, like they don't care if I have an accent and I'm from the motherland. They don't care. That's not what they see. So and it's horrible and unfortunate that that's the place that we
That's
live
what
in.
we live in. Mhm.
But that is, you know, that's what we
It's our
have to
reality
deal
at
with.
this point. Hopefully it'll change eventually, but at this point it's still a reality for many people. So I don't want us to go on and on and on because we can go on and on
It's
and
a
on.
deep conversation and it deserves
Very, very
a
deep.
lot of it's lots of layers to this. So
Very much so. And I think we spent a good bit of time on it. So any last words? Any last comments? I think my last question, and I think we pretty much said it already. Has this documentary changed your thoughts about Rachel? Like, has it changed your thoughts about her and the reason why she decided to do what she did? Thoughts?
100%. I knew nothing about her. All I ever saw was the headlines. And I feel like I understand her on a completely different level now. And I say, girl, go out there and be Black. If that's how you feel, if that's what you identify with, go out there and live your best life because it is yours to live and yours only.
I agree with that, CC. It's y'all. You only get one of these, so you know, do you right? Like, do what works for you. I also think though, like, I hope that we can get to a point where we are looking, because like CC said, and like I said as well, a lot of people don't see Black. We created this Blackness. Like this wasn't something that was that like is inherently like God nature given, you know what I mean? Like this was created. So I hope that we, instead of being like, oh, go, you know, do your Black thing, like maybe we can just be like, do the right thing. You know what I mean? Like, who are you? I hope that being who you are means that you are being the right thing for you, for the world, and, you know, creating good in the world. That's really what it comes down to. Like, I don't think that I didn't see her do anything bad, like under these pretenses. So like,
And
I'm
she did a
not
lot of
mad at
good.
her. Right, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. And that's what I mean. So like, as long as you're doing good, be whoever or whatever you want to be and do good. That's it.
All right.
You?
Well, I mean, I'm still up in the air. I don't even know. I mean, I feel compassionate towards her, but I don't understand it. I don't get it. I mean, I don't get it. It's a lot. It's a lot. So, but yes, it has changed my perspective of her a little bit more now that I know a little bit more about her story and her backstory and the reason why she identifies as being Black. Honestly, I don't get it. But it's not it's not for me to understand. It's for her to understand and for her to live. So with that being said, again, if you have not seen the documentary, it's called The Rachel Divided and it's on Netflix. Check it out. Leave your comments about what you think about it and what you think about this story in the comments. Go ahead and click that like, click that share, let everybody know about our sisterhood. How about you join the sisterhood as well? And you can catch us here every Sunday evenings around this time, chatting it up on What's That?
Sister Chat.
See you later, everybody.